Welcome to Fearless Females, where ambition meets resilience. Meet your guide, Lorie Jones, owner of Fearless Financial Advisors. Join her and remarkable women executives as they uncover the triumphs and transformative moments shaping extraordinary careers. Ready to be fearless? Let the journey begin.
Good morning. I'm so excited to be here with you today, and thank you so much to all those listeners that have listened over and over again. I really appreciate it. So today we're talking to Angela, and I'm going to read you a quote out of one of the questions. And she says, I think that's a big takeaway for me is how do you find people, those activities, those channels that help you feel your energy, kind of just give you what you need. And frankly, take on the rest of the world with a little bit more excitement, because so much that we're surrounded by, whether it's macro or even with our own kind of small areas, determines who we are. And I love that quote and that idea. I spend a lot of time networking, working with other people, and I love the excitement of meeting a new person who really shows up and shines in her area. The one that just kind of does something cool. And you can feel the excitement coming off of them, and you can feel how much they believe in what they're doing. And that makes you excited too. And if you surround yourself with people like that, your day is better, your life is better, your job is better. It doesn't feel a lot of times like you're slogging through trying to get to Friday, but that you are really bringing excitement and joy and value to this world that you've chosen. And I love that Angela kind of brings that out in her interview. I really hope that you guys enjoy it. Let's get started. Good morning, Fearless Females. So today we have Angela Troccoli. She is the head of marketing at Revecore. And I had a chance to just chat with Angela earlier, and I'm so excited about this interview. We were just talking about how much we were looking forward to it. So I'm so glad that you joined us today. Thank you so much, Angela.
Thank you so much, Lorie. I'm excited to be here.
So my first question is always, I am a reader. I love reading. What is your favorite book?
Oh my gosh. So I love a book called Likable, Badass. I hope I'm allowed to say that. That is the book title. And it is phenomenal. I have both the paperback and the audio version. And I've actually listened to it twice when I used to do a lot of commuting for work. And what I love about it is that it really does break this kind of mythical paradigm between being very likable at work and being perceived as kind of a, less agreeable person. I won't say the word, but you guys know what the word is. And what this author has done is really breaking that down and kind of shown how you can be both powerful and own the room and what that looks like, and also be likable and be a leader that people really want to follow. So yeah, every time I'm kind of feeling like I need a little bit of a leadership shakeup, or maybe I'm feeling imposter syndrome, like, oh man, how am I going to do this? How am I going to own the room? I will go ahead and I'll open up that book, or I'll turn it on while I'm in the car. And it is my absolute favorite book. I will recommend it to anybody who talks to me.
I love that. I have like some of those books that just speak to you, the ones that I've gotten through listening to or reading, and I immediately restart them. Yes. And I'm like, oh, I missed some pieces. I just need to do it again. Right. Yes. And I'll have like 3 or 4 copies of those things on my shelf. And when I find a woman, I'm like, oh, hey, you should read this. This is just a great book.
It is my favorite.
So, well, perfect. Tell me a little bit about your journey. How did you get where you're at today? Did you start out knowing what you wanted to do? How did your path end up, and kind of what do you do?
It's funny. When I look back at my journey, it almost feels like it was the right blueprint, like it was done on purpose, but it was absolutely not. I started my career in supply chain operations, which, think about the fact now that I'm a head of marketing, that feels like a bit of a departure.
Yeah.
And the reason that I started there is because I love the logic of it. I love spreadsheets. I love data. I've always kind of had that engineering brain, but of course studied economics. So supply chain it is. And really, really found a calling there but in that role kept getting pulled into product management, R&D, then into portfolio, then into product marketing. And so through those opportunities that I just sort of always said yes to, like, yeah, I'll do that next thing. I'll take that next chance. They were these gradual pivots that, again, when you look back, it makes perfect sense. But at the time, always felt like this next journey, this next opportunity. And I'm definitely the person that likes to lean in and say yes, just to, try it out, see if I like it. And it got me here. So now in my current role, I lead marketing. So I lead everything from revenue and demand gen to social digital events and still product marketing. And it's been an incredible experience, having wonderful mentors that I feel extremely blessed to have known and still know that have gotten me here. But yeah, it's been a winding road, I would say. It was not an easy path, but one that I feel very grateful for. And I feel like I've taken something away from each of those pieces.
Yeah, so you said spreadsheets and my heart went pitter patter because that is my love language. As far as I'm concerned, there is nothing better.
I agree. My whole life is in a spreadsheet.
Yeah, exactly. My kids joke with me. They think it's so funny because we go on vacation and I have a color-coded spreadsheet for every single day. And they're like, Mom, you're insane.
We would travel well together, I think. We would get along. Like, here's my spreadsheet. Feel free to edit it.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the 14 tabs you can do for each day. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So supply chain management actually kind of spoke to me when I was I didn't realize I must have been naive, but I didn't even realize there was such a thing as like this cool space of supply chain. So is that what you studied at school?
It is. Yeah. I actually got my master's in supply chain operations and started off at Hewlett Packard doing global demand planning, which was the absolute best first role for me because I just got to I'm a little introverted. So I got to live in that little introverted space, but still feel so immediately the big global impact of the work that I was doing. I got to showcase it to leadership and could see the direct connection between my work and the bottom line of the business and how we were performing. So just being able to kind of waterfall that through the numbers was really fun for me. And I don't know what else to say. It was fun. And I still love that. So I would definitely say that even today in the marketing domain, I still love to create very clear crosswalks between the work that I'm doing and the direct impact that it has on the business that I'm serving. So I would say that I'm a non-traditional marketer in that way. I love the math behind the marketing. And not that I want to get caught up in it too much, but I love almost the comfort of it being there. I wouldn't consider myself to be a creative. If you ask my daughter, like the level of skill I have in terms of creativity is like stick figures. She's quite the artist. So it's a bit, I don't know where she got it from. Yeah. And so being able to have that math behind it is really comforting to me. And I would say goes all the way back to studying supply chain. And marketing has supply chain elements to it. There's still logistics, there's still campaign flows. And so I bring it into everything that I do. And it, I think it makes me a better marketer to have just sort of a different background.
Yeah, I think that's a really valid point too, that like you typically think of marketing as this creative endeavor, but I find that there's a little bit of process in the creative pieces. And just like there's a little bit of creative in like financial advising, you'd think it's all spreadsheets and stuff like that. And there's a lot of creativity and nuance in those things. So I love that you get to bring those two pieces together and do both of them. That's cool.
Yeah.
What is the best investment you've made in yourself, Angela? If you can kind of go back and look along your journey and say, oh my gosh, I'm so glad I did that thing because it made me who I am today.
Yeah, that is such a deep question. And I would say the best investment I've made in myself was a recent one. And that was in investing in my own brand. And I think this is something that a lot of individuals, maybe I'm aging myself a little bit because I think some of the younger generations are like all about investing in their brand first and foremost. And some of us kind of missed the memo. We weren't born with cell phones in our hands. And I would say over the last couple of years, I've been very aware of how little I had invested in my brand. And so I consciously set aside time and money to invest in myself and to invest in my brand, because I've built an expertise that a lot of other people don't have. I have a skill set that a lot of other people don't have. And I think as a marketer, we spend so much of our time investing in other brands, the brands that we serve, but also in the brands of the C-suite that we serve, right? I've ghostwritten for more C-level executives than I can count. And we don't do that for ourselves. And I was actually just having this conversation with a girlfriend of mine who she's just now really starting to invest in her brand. And she was like, I, got inspired because you were doing it and I want to do it too. And we don't do it enough. So I think for me, that was the best thing that I kind of decided I wanted to do. And it was a family decision as well, because you still work a big day, right? I'm sure you're not working 9 to 5, right?
No.
And so part of that investment was also me telling my husband, hey, on Saturday mornings, I'm going to spend time working on my brand. And so he had to also be bought in. My daughter had to be bought into it, because it's in your non-working hours that you're having to do this. But I think in the end, it's worth it, because it leaves more of a footprint on this world than you otherwise would maybe get to do. So, and that means a lot to me.
So what ways are you investing? Is it like you're creating content, or you're just showing up on these platforms? Like, give me the details there.
Yeah. So I am creating content. I'm mentoring other young professionals, which is important to me. I'm showing up at events more. I'm networking more, also mentoring peers of mine that are maybe wanting to take that next step in their career and just looking for a sounding board, showing up on different platforms. And I've also recently authored a book about marketing. So that's another way that I'm kind of investing in myself, investing in my brand. And so, yeah, I think, the traditional ways that you would do it, kind of applying my knowledge of marketing, but seeing myself as the product, and and just kind of putting myself out there in a way that I hadn't done before. It's like I said earlier, I'm an introvert. This is really hard to do.
Hard.
But when you find the right channels and you find something that kind of gives you that energy, and you can put the plan together in a spreadsheet to make it a little more comfortable, then it becomes fun. But it was a process. It was a learning process.
And it sounds like what you're talking about, building personal brands, is a little bit of networking too. Like you're building your personal network along with that brand.
Absolutely. It's hard to do. I mean, when you are giving so much to your work, giving so much to your family, and you also want to make sure that you're carving out time for your health and your wellness, there aren't that many hours left in the day. I mean, it depends on how many you use to sleep, but I like my 8 hours. And so you really have to kind of find the balance and, look for those opportunities where the networking makes sense to you. I think sometimes networking is not always the right activity to lean into. It has to be one that's going to bring value to you just as much as you bring value to that community. So finding those communities that are really a good fit is critical.
Yeah, I think it's so interesting that you mentioned that. I'm a little bit of an introvert too. And I have a hard time with networking, but I found that what I really, really like to do is volunteer. Like, so if I can sign up for something and go volunteer and like help grow the organization and maybe make it a little bit more efficient, and if there's a spreadsheet involved, it's a win. And that way I'm networking, but at the same time, I'm not depleting my energy. I'm actually building it. So
exactly. I think that's the big takeaway for me, right? Is how do you find those people, those activities, those channels that help to fill your energy and kind of just give you what you need to frankly take on the rest of the world with a little bit more excitement, because so much that we're surrounded by, whether it's macro or even within our own kind of small environments, ecosystems, it can really be depleting. And I think anything that you can do, any investment you can make in yourself that way is really gratifying. But it took time for me to realize that. That wasn't just this self-evident thing. Maybe it is to other people, but it certainly took me a little bit of time.
So what is the worst advice you've ever been given? Did you ever get some really bad advice? And I'm always interested in if you took it.
Oh man, like work advice?
Any advice?
Any advice. I'm going to give 2.
Okay.
I'm going to give 2. And I hope that this is appropriate for your audience. So one was more personal, and it was this is going to sound like really terrible advice, especially as a parent, but I was given advice early on in college. So clearly it stuck with me. It was a bit of a traumatic advice situation. I was given advice early on in college to really push myself and to go into the classes that were really advanced. I was a bit of a math savant, and I regret that so much because I feel like, leaning into your strengths is important, but leaning into your strengths at the expense of an experience is not good advice. And so I reflect back on this as being like a bad college advice, but you could look into that in so many other, avenues, whether it's like, keep pushing this career, keep going for this thing at the expense of other experiences. Man, you only have so much time, right? So remember to keep things in balance and don't get into a position where you're looking back and going, whoa, I missed a lot, right? Yeah. Or you put so much investment in this one thing that when you inevitably fail, because we all rise to that level of incompetence. I actually think that there is that for everybody. It's crushing because you don't have other things that kind of, again, are filling your cup. So I would say it was a many decades ago experience for me that I still try to remember, like, have the balance. Don't lean in too hard to your strengths, even though it's good to know what they are. It's also good to just kind of have a lot of things that lift you up versus just one. So I would say that's personal bad advice, and you could apply it again, personal, professional. And then other advice that I recently heard, it wasn't advice given to me, but it's advice that I would caution other women to ignore. And that was how and when to ask for a promotion.
Okay.
So I have counseled a lot of young women on promoting themselves and really, put a pitch book together, always be networking with your peers, make sure that your boss knows the great things that you did. They're probably not keeping tabs, and really focusing on building your brand internally at an organization. I've been doing that for, at least 10 years with other women who come to me and said, hey, no one's listening to me, or this guy got promoted. I didn't, what happened? I'm like, well, they went to the happy hour. I'm sorry, but that's just how it went.
Yeah.
But recently I saw some advice where a woman was counseling her audience that if your boss is giving you a lot of work and you really want that promotion, stop doing the work, give him an ultimatum, tell him, I won't do that extra work unless I get promoted. And while I respect theoretically the desire to stand up for yourself, and I think that's really important for women in the workplace to do, it's also a very short-sighted and kind of one-sided way of looking at the situation. And so if I were to give a woman advice, having had to promote people and been promoted myself, so I've kind of seen both sides of it, give your boss a little bit of time and be clear about your needs, but also ask them for their input. What would it take for me to get to this next role? What do I need to show you that I'm capable of? Are there things that we can invest in together, or can we put together a plan so that when you're being asked to do work, you know that it's contributing to that goal? You share that vision together. You've got your clear, plan. It might mean that you have to ask them 6 months in advance, but in most cases at a lot of organizations, leaders have to plan 6+ months in advance. They have to get approval from HR. They have to get approval from finance. Things don't just magically happen. I can't, magically say, here's your promotion. Woo! Like, the money isn't just like sitting in a bucket for me to distribute. And so, yeah, I think if I'm talking to other women who are looking for that next, I'm a manager, I want to be a senior manager. I'm a senior manager, I want to be a director. If you think you want that in the next 1 to 2 years, tell your boss right now. Because then you can really start having that conversation before it turns into resentment and before it becomes an ultimatum. So those are the two bad pieces of advice I've gotten, and what I would have given myself as advice instead. I know that wasn't the question, but I'm like, here's the advice I would give you instead.
Yeah, this is the one I would use. Yeah. No, I like that. I like that idea of, I think that it's so important that as women, we toot our own horn. Actually, I think it's important for everybody. And it's the advice I give across the board to anyone that I'm mentoring. I'm like, no one cares. I think it was Gargi Chaudhry, who's the head of iShares, who said that nobody cares about your career the way you do. Like not a single person does. And,
Yep.
and no one's going to pay attention to what you're doing unless you tell them what you're doing. So
That's right. Think about it. Like your boss has their own career they're thinking about. They have probably a P&L they're worried about. Depending on where they are in the organization, they've got leaders that they need to support. Gosh, right now, I don't think any company is like, whoa, we're doing great. And so there's pressure. Plus, they might have a family at home or a partner, parents that they're taking care of. They got a lot of stuff going on. And they probably don't just have you as an employee. They've got maybe 5, 6, 7. So do them a solid. And if you have a gold star moment, tell them it's not arrogance, it's self-promotion. And that's actually an okay thing, so that they go, oh, okay. So, Jennifer just did this incredible thing and got great accolades. I'm going to pocket this. I'm going to remember this. And frankly, the more that you share that up to your own leadership, they get to promote you too, because it's top of mind for them.
mm-hmm.
And so then when the promotion moment comes around and they're having to justify the ask to either their peers or their leadership, they've already been priming them whether they know it or not. So yeah, I think there's definitely some good skills to kind of just like always be priming your leader on the great things that you're doing, because it's going to benefit you. But it takes a repeat kind of focus. You can't do it once and then ignore it. It has to be part of your daily rhythm practically.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Always. And keep it journaled somewhere, like,
Yes.
so that you can, when you come back around at those quarterly reviews or the yearly reviews or whatever, you've got your list of wins, and it's top of mind now again, because they've already forgotten what you did 3 months ago.
Exactly. Yeah. Great point.
So what about a do-over? I like to think of these as situations like, if I knew then what I know now, that would have gone so much differently. And it's not that I regret what I did, but I definitely learned from it, and I would do it differently now.
Yeah. This is a personal, professional example.
Mm-hmm.
And gosh, I've got plenty of regrets. I think there are plenty of mistakes that I made where I would think I would have done that differently, but here I am, so I can't complain. I had a very, let's call it a high intensity role a few companies ago, and a very demanding CEO. And I just wanted to say yes. I just wanted to say yes to the last minute assignments and the let's launch this thing that's not ready to launch and do it in 2 weeks, not 2 months. And I really, really wanted to deliver. Now that's on me, right? But I would work through holidays. I would work through family vacations. I would, if he needed it, I was there,
Mm-hmm.
and the regret that I have is not acknowledging that it didn't have to be me. And delegating is also leadership. And boundaries is also leadership. And I shouldn't have put all that pressure on myself to make him happy. Or her, I mean, it does, and yes, technically the CEO is a man, but to make my leader happy,
Mm-hmm.
right? Saying no with boundaries is okay. And at that time, and this is hindsight's 2020. When you're kind of in that very steep growth part of your career,
Yeah.
it's hard, I think, to set boundaries and to say no, because you see the flag. It's right there.
Yeah.
And I just want to grab it. I want to grab the flag. But in hindsight, all of that I gave up didn't really move the needle enough. Did it? Yes. But did it move it enough that I'm thrilled I missed half of a vacation I had in Hawaii with my family? No. I would have loved to watch the sunrise and go snorkeling with my daughter, not take 3 calls. And so, that was an important lesson for me. And ultimately, I'm not there anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And so remembering that it's just a job. I mean, again, like, who doesn't say that? Who doesn't know that? But when you're in the moment, it's hard to feel it. And so I think the biggest regret I have is not feeling it sooner and not acknowledging earlier in my career that I can still grow and be successful without feeling like it's all on me and that I have to be the one to show it, that I can't delegate and say, I'm good, I'm going to do this part and they're going to do that part. And if they don't deliver,
Yeah. Team project.
yeah, it's hard, right?
Yeah.
Especially when you're type A, it's hard. But I do regret that. I regret not setting better boundaries earlier in my career. I'm glad that I have them now.
How did you get better at doing that? Inquiring minds want to know.
Through the painful realization that it doesn't move the needle that much. And after so many instances of feeling like you're giving up so much in your personal life to sustain your professional one, you start to ask yourself, am I in the right professional space? Right? Is this the culture for me? And there are thousands of companies out there, thousands and thousands and thousands. Find the one that allows you to be your best self. But I had to get pretty hurt. I had to feel like I was giving up a lot and it was making me upset. So I think finally realize it's not worth it. I had to get through that pain to acknowledge, okay, next time, no.
Yeah.
I'm setting the boundary. I'm looking for the place that is a fit for me and a leadership team that's a fit for me. And that's where I will thrive because I'll be able to deliver and still have the balance that I want on the personal side without feeling this regret, because in the end, I hope this is the case for most people. Your family is they're going to be there. Your job may or may not. It's okay. It's a job. And having experienced on the leadership side, things like RIFs, having to make those decisions and be part of those conversations, you're a number. It's okay. And the only time I've given advice recently to a younger woman who worked for me, and she was deciding, do I stay here or do I go? So we were talking about where she was and she had an opportunity. And I said, be a little nervous when a big company leader tells you you're like family. It feels so good, but you're not. You're not. And so if that's the kind of language you're hearing, honestly, run. Because that just means he's going to ask things of you that go beyond the scope of your professional role with that company. He's going to expect you to work later. He's going to expect you to give more than you want to because you're family, right? But that's just lip service. And the sooner you learn that in your career and you can just be okay with it, you can accept it. Now, I'm sure I sound a little jaded, and maybe I am, but I think it's important, especially, again, I'm overgeneralizing. Women tend to be a little bit more nurturing, empathetic. We feel more. So that language means something. And I think we have to remind ourselves, no.
Yeah.
This is a job. I have to have these other things that matter to me. Now, those other things may not be family. It could be I have to have my friendship, right? My circle of friends. I can't miss this thing, right? Yeah. But I think as soon as you realize that, it's such a relief. It's such a weight lifted because who are you letting down? It's a job.
Yeah.
And I think that's actually really nice, but it was scary. It was scary when I first realized it because I thought, oof, I feel a little too far along in my career to have noticed that now. But, at least I got there.
Yeah. So tell me, if you can kind of look back over your journey, Angela, do you have something that you could just go back and you high five yourself for one really great past financial decision? What would that be?
Ooh. Telling my husband to increase our stake in gold. No, So we have a very balanced portfolio, and I think every woman should. I think every family should. We invested in real estate early, and while it feels like a more traditional and like slower growth investment than the market, because it is, I felt really good about the way that we approached it. So we invested in a starter home pretty much sight unseen. It was like, here's a piece of paper of what we think it will look like, and that dirt over there will eventually be this community. And my husband had worked in real estate, so he knew the comps were actually in our favor. And so we're like, let's just do it. And we then took that investment and we were able to turn it into the next investment and then the next investment. And so we had more of a long game plan when it came to how we were looking at our portfolio. But I think that first investment and making the financial decision to not go on that trip, to not go out to dinner, and to save the money so that we could start this, it felt very contrarian at the time. Everyone was like, YOLO, and like, let's go to Yacht Week. And we were like, we're going to stay home and eat frozen pizza so we can afford this investment in our 20s, right? That was really weird. Mm-hmm. But I'm so glad. And I think we both feel more confident now as we look ahead to the next 10, 15 years and ideally retirement at some point, that we got ourselves started off well early. And I think that I hope that as, individuals, women are kind of seeing their bank accounts go up and they're seeing their portfolios go up, that they'll work with advisors like yourself even, who can help kind of guide them on the right way to balance where all their money is, because and do it early.
Yeah.
Right. I also think getting an advisor early, not later. Don't wait until you're like, I hope I retire in 5 years. Goodness.
I'm retiring in 30 minutes. I better get myself an advisor, right?
Right. No, it's true though. Like, oh man. And it's like, this is stuff like you should have been thinking about this for the last 20 years.
Yeah.
People don't realize that. So I think you didn't ask me for the second, but I think the second most important thing that we did was we sat down with a financial advisor who planned out with us. Okay, here's where you are. You can have this type of growth, this type of growth, this type of growth. Here's what it means from a risk profile perspective. And like, we really took the time to plan it and think about it and visualize. It's like down to the things like, how much money do you want to spend on your daughter's wedding? Mm-hmm. Right? Mm-hmm. Like, yeah. That's a big question.
Yeah.
But it's in the plan. And so, I think that confidence was really nice. And that was one of the best decisions we made, was we actually had a financial advisor who walked us through that and was willing to get down to like the personal goals that we had. Mm-hmm. That, man, we both felt like, whew, this is great. I feel so good now.
Yeah, that's what I do get clients that walk out of my office and they're like, and you just see that sense of relief, like, oh, good. I had this one who has like this spreadsheet, and she has a spreadsheet like you would not believe. And she's been spreadsheeting for years and she loves it. But spending just an hour with me and kind of putting that information into the system, she saw the visual of what her plan could be. Exactly. And she was just, it was just like all the work that she had done to get there, she knew it was worth it. So I love that answer. Obviously, I love that answer.
And that's not even planned. It's true. Yeah. I mean, and I think the uncertainty is what's scary, right? It's the uncertainty. And, I would say for a lot of folks that I know, half are probably pretty well set up, but half of my peers, I'm like, I'm sure it was really fun to backpack around Europe, but goodness, did you have to sell all your possessions? Because now what?
Yeah.
So, yeah, like I'm gonna go travel around Europe when I retire. So like I'm good, and you can't take it with you. So there's always going to be the fun things that you can do, but I think having a person in your corner who's going to tell you straight, here's what you need to earn, here's what you should probably spend or not spend, And here are some solid investments that you can make that kind of are across this risk profile. No one just wakes up in the morning with that knowledge or intuition. It takes years of seeing it, experiencing it, advising other people. And so, just like if someone said, hey, I'm going to start a company and I need to learn more about marketing, I'd hope they'd call me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is the same thing. You got to tap into the experts that you know.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of scary, what scared you the most when you started out on this journey? Was there anything that was like you were really worried about? And are you still, or did you figure out a way to get over that?
I took out a lot of loans for school. And so that was scary in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
But I knew that I would do whatever it took. And so I think that once I got that job and put a plan together, like, here's how I'm going to pay it off, it got less scary. But I think that's the only time where I was like scared, right? I wasn't scared, for example, when I took out a loan for our first house. But there's something about that first time you see all those numbers and you're like, that's how much I'm going to owe you. And that's the rate. That's all right. Let's hope this works out. That's kind of scary. Yeah. It's like the only time I think in your life where you're betting on you, right? There's no asset. You are the asset. But going back to one of the first things we talked about, then invest in you, right? If you invested in you then, invested in going to college, no matter what type of college, whether you have an advanced degree, an AA, a master's, a PhD, doesn't matter. You invested in you at that point, keep investing in you, right? That's if you made that decision when you were 18, 19, you can make that decision now, but invest in you. It's one of the best investments you'll ever make. And it really, I think, does pay off. So, it was scary, but
keep betting on yourself. Yeah, I love that idea that you really are investing in your future. You're betting on the fact that you're gonna work hard. You're gonna be successful. You're gonna do well. You're gonna learn the things you need to learn quickly, so you fail less, fail better.
Fail fast.
Yeah.
Yep, exactly.
Did you face any unique challenges along your path because you were a woman?
Is that a trick question?
I know. I only had one person tell me no the whole time.
Who are they? Can I meet them? Did I face any? Yes. I would say I've worked in technology most of my career, and there's always going to be moments where you are certainly the only woman in the room. And it's fun. So I'm going to take a little bit of a side note. In college, I actually studied the effects of being othered, both from a gender and a racial perspective. I had an incredible graduate student that I worked for, and so I understood the actual physical effects on your body when you are the other person in the room. And so I think because of that, my awareness was heightened. And I protected myself in those scenarios because I'd learned that if I didn't, what the effects would be in terms of psychological safety, your physical, it can be difficult on you, on your body. And so I think those were the moments that were the hardest to navigate. Sometimes the youngest in the room by 20 plus years.
Yeah.
That's hard. And not everyone else, I think, was quite as sensitive to it. Not to say that people have to be sensitive, but also like toxic masculinity is very much a thing. It's alive and well. And so I think for women who, are still experiencing it, I'm so sorry. I wish it wasn't true, but it's still very, very much there. And that was the hardest thing I just constantly had to face throughout my career. Even on Zoom meetings, like it's a 3x3 Zoom call and you're the one woman in the 9 squares. That's hard. It feels a little weird. it never goes away. Maybe that's me. Maybe I'm too sensitized to it. But yeah. But luckily, I've had an incredible support system, including a lot of incredible male mentors. I think that helps a lot because then you don't feel like you're isolating yourself. You get different perspectives. Yeah, I think you just have to kind of have thick skin and be aware that there's always going to be some level of adversity that you face. And just similar to how I had to find the right culture for me, that was part of it, right? Finding the right team that made me feel really welcome and really good. That was something that I had to look for. And I feel very blessed that I found it a handful of times.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that is a really important point too. It's just that there are places where you can feel included and supported, and you can grow and stuff like that. I found, one of those just recently and where I'm at. And it's a different feeling. You can definitely feel the difference between those that are working for your best interests, that are really trying to help you get ahead and grow. I think that's
Exactly.
cool.
Yeah, exactly.
What is the thing you are most proud of?
That's such a good question. On a personal level, I am most proud of my daughter. And I'm sure that everyone gives that answer, but she is phenomenal and inspires me every day. She is a little miniature version of me, so she also reminds me of how sassy I can be, which is a great reality check. But I'm really proud of the young girl, I shouldn't say woman yet, that she is growing into. And I feel really proud of myself that I not only have this delightful person in my life, but that she wants to be like mommy when she grows up. That's something that I feel really proud of. She sees me working, she sees me growing in my career, and she sees me and the success that I've built for myself, and it inspires her. And that just means the world to me. And I'm also really proud. I think I mentioned earlier of a book that I've written. It actually took 2 years to write this book. And I'm really proud of it because it's something that I started with a mentor of mine who I adore very much. The book is dedicated to him. And, it is kind of a little bit about my experience as a marketer in the world of startups and scale ups, but it also pulls from a lot of interviews with other marketing leaders and shares a lot of lessons that have, kind of been learned the hard way. And as I mentioned, one of the things that I care a lot about is giving back. And so this is sort of my way of giving back, right? Like I wrote it down. This is the stuff that's probably going to come up. Here's how to, navigate yourself out of that problem. And I'm really proud of it. It was something that was hard for me to put myself out there like that. And I'm glad I did it.
Yeah, it is. It would be a little bit hard. Like this is the neatest thing I've done, and it's like putting your baby out there for people to laugh at. Like it's hard.
Like, please like me.
Yeah, please. Yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Any advice for a young lady, Angela, who's kind of just starting down this path that you're successful at, to help her be successful like you?
Give yourself a little bit of grace and keep that pitch book of yourself. Keep it, right? I think you mentioned, right? Like whether it's a journal or it's in a PowerPoint or it's just a Word document or a notepad you open up on your phone. Keep that. Write down all the times where you got accolades or you felt really proud of something that you did. And when you're feeling down, like, oh, this is so hard. How am I going to get to that next step? Give yourself a little bit of grace and look at it. Yes, it is important to share it with your leader when you're asking for that promotion or what have you, or when you're prepping for an interview for that next job. But also remember that it's for you because you are incredible. You deserve to be where you are. It's not always going to be easy. You will make mistakes and sometimes you might disappoint, and that is fine. For a lot of type A personalities out there, that can be catastrophic, but you'll survive it. And you just got to give yourself a little bit of patience because we're all human. And, just remind yourself of all the greatness that you give, because that truly, I think, is what keeps you going. And you'll get there. If you want it, you'll go get it.
I love it. I actually had a team member who was working underneath me, and every time someone wrote something good about her, she would put it in her pile of her. It was like a Word document that she had, and she would just take it out when she had a particularly bad day and kind of look through it. And the great thing about this particular person is she would do that for us too. Like, she would look through the emails and she would like find the nice things that clients said. And
that's amazing.
Isn't that so cool? And she's like, look, wow. Someone said something so really great about you. Don't forget this, or something like that. So I love that idea. I think that is so important to remember that we do cool things, and we are really, really trying hard to show up in this world in a way that just makes the world a better place for our kids, for those mentees that we have, for our jobs, our companies, and like take a little bit of time to celebrate that. I love that you reminded us of that. Thank you so much, Angela, for your time today. I appreciate you chatting with us. If I have a young lady who wants to get in touch with you and ask a few questions, how does she do that?
Please definitely encourage her to connect with me on LinkedIn and to reference that she either chatted with you or heard the podcast. I would love to meet any young woman who's looking for just a little bit of a pep talk or advice on her career. I'm here to help. Or she can go to my website, angelatroccoli.com, and she can contact me there.
Well, perfect. Thank you so much. I've just really enjoyed this time together. Thanks.
Likewise. Thank you so much, Lorie.